I, 29M, never thought I'd be in this situation, but here I am. My ex-girlfriend Amy, 28F, recently asked me to be a groomsman at her upcoming wedding to her high school sweetheart, Tom, 29M. Let me give you some background on our complicated history. Amy and I met 4 years ago through mutual friends at a local pub called the Rusty Nail. It was a Friday night, and our friend group had gathered for our weekly trivia night. Amy was new to the area, having just moved for a job at a marketing firm. She was introduced to our group by Jessica, 27F, who had been her roommate in college. From the moment Amy joined our table, I was captivated. She had this infectious laugh and a quick wit that made her a formidable opponent in trivia. We ended up on the same team, and our chemistry was instant. Throughout the night, we kept exchanging glances and finding excuses to talk to each other. By the end of the evening, I had worked up the courage to ask for her number. Our first date was at a quirky little art gallery that was showcasing local artists. Amy had mentioned her love for art during trivia night, so I thought it would be the perfect spot. We spent hours wandering through the exhibits, discussing our favorite pieces, and sharing stories about our lives. I learned that Amy had grown up in a small town and had always dreamed of living in the city. She told me about her passion for graphic design and how she hoped to start her own agency someday. As we left the gallery, it started to rain. We made a mad dash to a nearby cafe, laughing as we got soaked. Over hot chocolates, we continued talking until the staff started stacking chairs around us. It was one of those magical first dates you read about in books. Things progressed quickly from there. We had so much in common, a love for indie music, a shared obsession with true crime podcasts, and a mutual goal of visiting all the national parks. Within a few months, we were practically inseparable. Our friends joked that we were joined at the hip. At the 1-year mark, we decided to move in together. We found a cozy apartment with a small balcony where Amy could keep her collection of succulents. I remember spending an entire weekend assembling IKEA furniture and arguing over where to hang artwork. But even in those moments of frustration, I couldn't help but feel lucky to be building a life with her. As we settled into domestic life, we started talking more seriously about our future. Amy would often drop hints about marriage, pointing out engagement rings in shop windows or tagging me in social media posts about unique proposal ideas. I knew I wanted to marry her, but I wanted the proposal to be perfect. I spent months planning the perfect moment. I decided on a romantic weekend getaway to Sunset Beach, where we had our first vacation together. I remember how nervous I was, trying to hide the ring box in my luggage and worrying that she'd find it. I had it all planned out, a sunset walk on the beach, followed by a candlelit dinner at the same restaurant where we had celebrated our 6-month anniversary during that first trip. The night before we were set to leave, Amy asked if we could talk. My heart raced, thinking maybe she had found out about the surprise. But as soon as I saw her face, I knew something was wrong. She sat me down on our worn leather couch, the one we had spent countless nights cuddling on while binge-watching our favorite shows. With tears in her eyes, Amy confessed that she had been in contact with her high school ex-boyfriend, Tom, for the past few months. According to Amy, she and Tom had dated all through high school. They were the classic high school sweethearts. He was the football captain, she was the artsy girl who designed all the posters for school events. They had big plans to go to the same college and start their lives together. But just before graduation, Tom's dad got a job offer in another state. They tried long distance for a while, but eventually decided to break up and explore life on their own. Amy explained that Tom had reached out to her on social media after his grandmother passed away. Apparently, his grandmother had always loved Amy and kept asking about her even years after they broke up. What started as Tom sharing memories of his grandmother turned into daily messages and late-night phone calls. I sat there, stunned, as Amy told me she was confused about her feelings. She said she thought she had moved on from Tom years ago, but talking to him had brought back all these old emotions. She wasn't sure if she was ready to commit to marriage with me when she had these unresolved feelings for Tom. I was devastated. The ring box felt like it was burning a hole in my sock drawer. All my plans, all our talks about the future, it felt like they were crumbling around me. We decided to postpone our trip and take some time to figure things out. The next few weeks were a blur of long, tearful conversations and sleepless nights. Amy moved into the spare room, and the apartment that had once felt so cozy now seemed suffocating. We tried to work through things, we even went to a couples counseling session. But deep down, I think we both knew where this was heading. Finally, after about a month of living in this limbo, Amy told me she wanted to give things another try with Tom. She said she felt like she needed to explore that connection to truly move forward in her life. She apologized profusely, telling me I was an amazing guy and that she never meant to hurt me. But those words did little to soften the blow. I helped Amy pack up her things, each box feeling like another nail in the coffin of our relationship. The day she moved out was one of the hardest of my life. I remember sitting on our, now my, balcony, looking at her empty succulent pots, and feeling utterly lost. The months that followed were tough. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects to keep my mind occupied. I started going to the gym regularly, pushing myself physically to exhaust my body so my mind wouldn't wander. I picked up new hobbies. I learned to play the guitar and started taking cooking classes. Anything to fill the Amy-shaped void in my life. My friends were incredibly supportive during this time. Jessica, in particular, went out of her way to check on me and make sure I was taking care of myself. She'd often come over with takeout and force me to watch terrible movies with her, just to get me out of my own head. Slowly but surely, I started to heal. I began to rediscover who I was as an individual, not just as part of a couple. I even went on a few casual dates, though nothing serious. Then, last week, out of the blue, I received a text from Amy asking to meet for coffee. Curious and a bit apprehensive, I agreed. We met at our old favorite cafe, the same one we had ducked into on our first date to escape the rain. Amy looked good, her hair was shorter, and she seemed to have an extra bounce in her step. We made small talk for a bit, catching up on work and mutual friends. Then, she dropped the bombshell. She and Tom were engaged and planning their wedding for this summer. I sat there, my coffee growing cold, as Amy rambled on about their whirlwind romance and how Tom had proposed on a trip to Paris. Then came the kicker, she wanted me to be one of Tom's groomsmen. I nearly choked on my coffee. Amy explained that Tom didn't have many close male friends in the area, as most of his buddies were still back in his hometown. She thought that since I had been such an important part of her life, it would be nice to include me in their special day. She said it would mean a lot to both of them if I agreed. I told Amy I needed time to think about it and left the cafe feeling like I had entered some bizarre alternate reality. The thought of standing up there, watching Amy marry someone else, especially the guy she left me for, made my stomach churn. I spent the next few days mulling it over. Part of me wondered if participating in the wedding would give me some sort of closure. But every time I imagined myself in that role, I felt sick. Yesterday, I called Amy and told her I couldn't be a groomsman at her wedding. I explained that while I wished her and Tom the best, it would be too uncomfortable for me to be part of their wedding party. Amy didn't take it well. She accused me of being selfish and holding on to the past. She said I was ruining her perfect wedding vision and that I should be more mature about the situation. Now I'm feeling conflicted. Some of our mutual friends are saying I should just suck it up and do it for Amy's sake. They think I'm being petty by refusing. But I really don't feel comfortable being in that position. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to be a groomsman at my ex-girlfriend's wedding to the guy she left me for? Update 1. It's been about a month since my last post, and to say a lot has happened would be an understatement. I want to start by thanking everyone for their advice and support. Reading your comments helped me feel more confident in my decision to decline being a groomsman. After I told Amy no, she didn't take it well. She continued to pressure me through text messages, often sending long paragraphs about how I was being immature and how this was a chance for all of us to move forward positively. She even enlisted some of our mutual friends to try and convince me. It was exhausting and frustrating to constantly defend my decision. I stood my ground, repeating that while I wished them well, I wasn't comfortable being part of their wedding party. I tried to be polite but firm, hoping she would eventually respect my decision and back off. Things took an unexpected turn last week. I was at the gym, in the middle of a particularly grueling workout. I've been using exercise as a way to deal with stress lately, when I spotted Tom on the other side of the room. This was surprising because it's not his usual gym. In fact, it's quite far from where he lives. I was tempted to just put my headphones back in and ignore him, but he caught my eye and started walking over. Reluctantly, I stepped off the treadmill and braced myself for what I assumed would be an awkward encounter. To my surprise, Tom asked if we could talk. We headed to the juice bar attached to the gym, and that's when things got really interesting. Tom opened up about the whole situation. He told me he had no idea Amy had asked me to be a groomsman until after I had already refused. He was shocked when she told him about it and my refusal. Tom said he completely understood my position and apologized for Amy's behavior. But that wasn't all. Tom revealed that he had been feeling uneasy about their relationship ever since they got back together. He said that when they first reconnected, it felt like old times. They reminisced about their high school days, shared stories about their lives since then, and felt that spark reignite. But as they spent more time together and started planning a future, Tom began to notice things about Amy that he hadn't seen before, or maybe had chosen to ignore in the past. According to Tom, Amy had been acting increasingly controlling and manipulative. She was obsessed with having a perfect wedding and was willing to steamroll over anyone's feelings to get what she wanted. Tom said he was starting to see sides of Amy he hadn't noticed before, and it was making him question their engagement. He shared a few examples that made me realize how much Amy had changed, or perhaps how much I hadn't seen during our relationship. Tom mentioned how Amy had thrown a fit when his sister announced her pregnancy, afraid it would steal attention from the wedding. He talked about how Amy had been pressuring him to cut ties with female friends she felt threatened by, even though these were long-time platonic friendships. As Tom spoke, I found myself sharing some of my own experiences with Amy. I told him about how she had often made me feel guilty for spending time with my friends or pursuing hobbies that didn't include her. I shared how she would sometimes give me the silent treatment for days if I disagreed with her about something, no matter how minor. It was surreal to be bonding with the guy I once considered my rival, but it felt good to clear the air between us. We ended up talking for over an hour, sharing our experiences and realizing that perhaps Amy wasn't the person either of us had thought she was. A few days after my conversation with Tom, I received a call from our mutual friend, Jessica. She told me that Tom had called off the engagement. Apparently, He and Amy had a huge fight about the wedding planning. Amy wanted to invite an ex-boyfriend of hers, not me, another one, to the wedding, insisting he was just a friend now. When Tom expressed discomfort with this, Amy accused him of being insecure and not trusting her. This led to a bigger argument where a lot of issues came to light, and Tom finally realized he couldn't go through with the marriage. Jessica said Amy was devastated and blaming everyone else for the failed engagement, including me. Apparently, Amy was telling anyone who would listen that if I had agreed to be a groomsman, none of this would have happened. She was painting me as the villain who poisoned Tom against her. I felt a mix of emotions hearing this news. Part of me felt vindicated that I hadn't given in to Amy's demands, but I also felt sorry for both Amy and Tom. It's clear that there were deeper issues in their relationship that needed to be addressed. Since then, I've received a barrage of angry messages from Amy. She's accused me of poisoning Tom against her, of being jealous of their happiness, and of ruining her life. It's been overwhelming and hurtful, even though I know her accusations aren't true. I've decided to block her number and social media accounts for my own peace of mind. Some of our mutual friends have taken sides, with a few saying I should have just been a groomsman to keep the peace, while others are supporting my decision and distancing themselves from Amy due to her behavior. Through all of this, I've realized that I made the right choice in prioritizing my own feelings and boundaries. It's been a difficult and dramatic month, but I feel like I've grown from this experience. I'm focusing on myself and my own happiness, and I'm grateful for the support I've received from many of you. I'm not sure what the future holds, but I'm trying to stay positive and move forward. This whole situation has taught me a lot about standing up for myself and the importance of surrounding myself with people who respect my boundaries. It's been a tough journey, but I'm hopeful that better things are on the horizon. Update 2. It's been 6 months since my last update, and I wanted to share some developments in this ongoing saga. Life has a funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. After Tom called off the engagement, things were quiet for a while. I had blocked Amy on all platforms and was focusing on my own life. I threw myself into a new project at work. We're developing a revolutionary app that could potentially change our entire industry. It's been challenging but incredibly rewarding. Outside of work, I joined a local sports league. I've always been into basketball, but never had the time to play regularly when I was with Amy. Now, I'm part of a team that plays twice a week. It's been great for my physical and mental health, plus I've made some new friends. I've also been on a few casual dates. Nothing serious yet, but it's been nice to put myself out there again. I'm taking things slow and really enjoying the process of getting to know new people without the pressure of jumping into a serious relationship. About 2 months ago, I received a letter in the mail from Amy. At first, I was tempted to throw it away without reading it, but curiosity got the better of me. In the letter, Amy apologized for her behavior and acknowledged that she had been selfish and manipulative. She explained that after Tom left her, she went through a period of self-reflection and realized how poorly she had treated both Tom and me. Amy wrote that she had started seeing a life coach to work on her personal issues and was making progress in understanding her destructive patterns. She didn't ask for forgiveness or try to rekindle any kind of relationship. Instead, she simply wanted to take responsibility for her actions and let me know that she was working on becoming a better person. I appreciated the letter but decided not to respond. I felt it was best to maintain the distance between us. It was good to know that Amy was working on herself, but I didn't feel the need to be part of that journey. Ironically, about a week after receiving Amy's letter, I bumped into Tom at a local coffee shop. I was there working on my laptop when he walked in. We caught each other's eye, and after a moment of hesitation, he came over to my table. We got to talking, and he filled me in on what had been happening in his life. He had also received a similar letter from Amy and, like me, had chosen not to respond. Tom seemed happier and more relaxed than when I last saw him. He mentioned he had started seeing someone new and was taking things slow. As Tom and I were catching up, Jessica, our mutual friend, walked into the coffee shop. She was surprised to see us together and joined our table. The three of us ended up having a long conversation about everything that had happened. Jessica revealed that she had distanced herself from Amy after witnessing her behavior during the wedding planning and subsequent breakup. She said Amy had tried to manipulate her into taking sides and had spread rumors about both Tom and me when things fell apart. During our chat, Jessica mentioned that she was organizing a charity event for a local animal shelter and was looking for volunteers. Both Tom and I offered to help out. Over the next few weeks, the three of us spent time together planning and preparing for the event. We worked on creating flyers, setting up an online donation platform, and reaching out to local businesses for support. It was during this time that I really got to know Tom as a person, not just as Amy's ex or my perceived rival. He turned out to be a genuinely nice guy with a great sense of humor. We found we had a lot in common, including a shared love for obscure 80s movies and a passion for hiking. The charity event was a success, and we raised a significant amount for the animal shelter. Working together on this project helped solidify our newfound friendship. It's strange to think that if I had agreed to be a groomsman, none of this would have happened. As for Amy, I haven't heard from her since the letter. Our mutual friends say she's been keeping a low profile and seems to be genuinely working on herself. While I wish her well, I'm content with the way things have turned out for me. This experience has taught me the importance of standing up for myself and has led me to unexpected new friendships. I've been focusing on personal growth and pursuing my passions. The app project at work is coming along well, and I've even been considering taking some coding classes to expand my skills. My basketball team made it to the league semifinals, which has been exciting. Overall, life feels good right now. I'm not rushing into anything romantically, but I'm open to what the future might bring. I'm grateful for the support I've received throughout this journey, both from friends in real life and from all of you here on Reddit. Update 3, it's been a year since this whole saga began, and I wanted to provide one final update. Life has a way of coming full circle, and my story is no exception. Over the past 6 months, my friendship with Tom and Jessica has continued to grow stronger. We've become a tight-knit trio, often hanging out together and supporting each other through various life events. Tom has been doing well with his new girlfriend, and they recently moved in together. Jessica got a promotion at work and has been thriving in her new role. As for me, I've been focusing on personal growth and pursuing my passions. I started taking photography classes, something I've always wanted to do but never found the time for when I was with Amy. It's been incredibly fulfilling, and I've even had a few of my photos displayed at a local art gallery. Now, here's where things get interesting. About a month ago, I was at a photography exhibition when I quite literally bumped into someone while trying to get a better angle for a shot. As I turned to apologize, I found myself face to face with Emily, 27F, a woman I had briefly dated in college before we went our separate ways due to different career paths. Emily and I were both surprised to see each other, and we ended up spending the rest of the evening catching up. It turns out she had recently moved back to town for a job opportunity. We discovered that we both shared a passion for photography and had a lot in common that we hadn't realized back in college. We've been seeing each other regularly since then, and things are going really well. It's still early days, but I feel a connection with Emily that I haven't felt with anyone in a long time. She knows about my history with Amy and has been understanding and supportive. Interestingly, last week, Tom, Jessica, Emily, and I all went out for dinner together. It was a bit surreal to be sitting there with my new girlfriend and the friends I made through such a tumultuous experience. We laughed about how strange life can be and how unexpected events can lead to positive outcomes. As for Amy, I heard through the grapevine that she's moved to a different city for a fresh start. I hope she's found peace and continued to work on herself. While I wouldn't wish the pain and drama of the past year on anyone, I can't help but feel grateful for where it has led me.